from Culture 4. This is Hypebeast Radio. I'm your host, Majorel Stinney, here with my co-host, Kevin Wong.
What
and
up?
We're sitting here with Aleali May.
Woo! What's good? Hey.
Awesome. So how's it going, Aleali?
It's good. It's good. Here in Miami right now at Art Basel. So it's lit. I'm always down to see some good, artists out here, and always like link and build with the friends.
Cool. So like in current events, like how was it releasing your first Air Jordan?
Jumping right in.
Oh my gosh. Yo, honestly, that was so crazy. I feel like I spent like the whole month like just like, oh my gosh, I have my own Jordan, and then to the day before, it's like 2 p.m. and somebody comes up to the pop-up and is like, so can we start camping out? And I was just like, it's not like I expect the most, but I don't know what to expect because I've never released a shoe before. I've never released product, Mm-hmm. So like my first collaboration, and then for it to be with Jordan and it to be my favorite silhouette and, in my city, and like in dedication to like the Slauson Swapmeet where I used to buy my Jordans. So everything is just like a dream. Like I'm still like trying to, I guess, take it all in, but definitely blessed.
Yeah, so like describe like the setting of the pop-up space, because we saw photos, but it was definitely a vibe there.
Yo, it was so crazy. Like I told people to pull up, and these are like people I used to go to middle school with. Yeah. The dude that I had DJing the function was basically like back in the day in like Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw area. He used to DJ all the functions, and like he used to play nothing but YG, because YG, even a long time ago was like pop, and he was like the sound to the function. So I was like, I have to have him like DJ my party, and then we had Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles catered. We had Randy's Donuts for the line in the morning. So I really wanted people, because like I always tell people, like, people from the hood, they're just like, oh, we see that every day. But like, you have to think like in fashion, in street culture, like sometimes that's non-existent where you go places. People don't know about the Slauson Swapmeet. People don't know about like Crenshaw. They've never seen Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society, and like this is that culture literally brought to La Brea, but like you're putting it in an area where you're bringing in all different types of people to see like, what is this like? So it was literally, paying homage to the Slauson Swapmeet, and we had Jordans like wrapped in saran wrap. Well, my Jordans, and Roscoe's. We even had like the cash wrap, decked out in like all the jewelry that you see at the Slauson Swapmeet, and like t-shirts, NWA, and it was crazy. Snoop Dogg's dad came through, and Snoop Dogg's cousins came through, and like for them to pull up, I'm like, yo, you're the dude that gave him the juice, like, and he's just like, congratulations, baby girl, and I'm just like, yo, this is so crazy. I guess like the best feeling is like to have your hood like really fuck with you, I think that's even better than just like, oh, you're just put on this platform now, but like to actually like go back to your neighborhood and be like a hero, like that's what's lit. Yeah. So
it's kind of like that local pride too, and then kind of bringing this to a larger scale, because Jordans, I mean, that's like that's the entire world. You know what I mean? That's not just like.
We know like kids sleep outside for these, like people kill for these, so just have to have some like the staple and just get the nod from Jordan, like, hey, it's like we made it. No. Yeah,
and a lot of those inspirations that you discussed, like those made it onto the sneaker too.
So the sneaker has a corduroy, so got it from the house slipper my dad used to buy at the Slauson Swapmeet, and then the satin chenille swoosh. It's basically from like vintage starter jackets. So like when you think of LA, you think of like people wearing Raiders starters or Kings, even Dodgers too, but I wanted to like kind of put all of that into one shoe. And me and Frank Cooker from Jordan Brand, we were like, we were sitting in Portland. He's like, so what you want to do? And I was like, corduroy. And then he was like, all right. He was like, look, I'm down to get, crazy with it. And I was like, my first collaboration, like I just wanted to be a dedication to my city, like thank you, we got this, you know, because I feel like a lot of people don't look at LA as like a fashion scene, but you know, we definitely got some staples, you know, so just wanted to capitalize on that.
How much do you think, like, you know, the fashion scene in LA has changed like throughout the years?
Man, honestly, even the past 2 years, the past 3 or 4 or 5 years, like you can look at somewhere like downtown LA and it's like people are moving there. Like being from LA, you never hear of somebody living downtown. And then now to hear so many things, even like Acne Studios is down there, just like it's honestly becoming like a mini New York, you know. And I feel like it's also helping to change the scene, you know. Then you have like West Hollywood with the H. Lorenzos and, you know, Maxfields. And I just feel like fashion does exist there. I think because it's just so big and you have to drive everywhere, right, it's a little harder to see like what's the crowd. It's not like you go to Soho and then there's a bunch of kids and you're like, okay, this is a scene, right, you know. It involves a little bit more discovery, but it's definitely there. I mean, even if you look at like runways taking place there now, they did Saint Laurent, you know, Louis Vuitton. Honestly, we have the space to do all of these things, but you know, just it's slowly coming. But I feel like the progression within the past year have like boosted, you know. Definitely. Yeah, so
and being cool on like, you know, the forefront of fashion, what do you think would be like that next step that's going to help them be more so in the spotlight for fashion, being considered a fashion city?
I mean, we have a lot of people that are actually from California that, you know, are successful in making their own clothing. For example, Rick Owens, I know he did something a long time ago, but I feel like if he did something now, like, you know, it's kind of like reclaiming your city, you know. So I feel like we just need people like that. And you know, but it's coming. And I feel like I call it the California gold rush because everybody's moving to LA. My thing, I was living in Chicago and then I was gonna move to New York and I was like, you know, I'm gonna move back to LA, let me claim my city real quick, you know. And when I moved back, then all of a sudden everybody else started moving. So I was like, I really don't have to go anywhere if all you guys are going to come here, you know? And if I can dip to New York, but I can come home and still, you know, be at home. So, yeah.
For sure. And kind of like, you know, going back to a little bit, getting to now having your, you know, signature Jordan, what are some of the steps, I guess, that you can, you know, maybe for people that don't know as much about your story or whatnot, that you think got you to this point?
Yeah. Honestly, what got me to this point is just like sticking to like being true to yourself. I've like, as a young girl, I've had so many other, you know, older women and, you know, just even like your family, you know, they make fun of you like, girl, you always dress like a boy. Why don't you put on your dress? You know, and for me, it's like, nah. I don't like to do that. Or I had people like my Uncle G that would be like, well, she don't want to wear a dress, so she ain't gonna wear a dress. You know, she gonna wear these Jordans I just bought her. Like literally my mom used to buy me clothes and then I'd come over to my grandmother's house and my uncle would see what I was wearing. He'd take me to the mall, he'll throw those clothes away and he'll buy me a whole new fit with Jordans, like everything, you know? So I feel like, I guess it's like always surrounding yourself around people that are going to support who you are too, you know, having good friends and stuff. And, you know, anybody or anything that supports you being true to yourself, I think you should just always have in your circle. So, you know, that's going to naturally flourish, like opportunities to come towards your way and things that are, I kind of am more like a, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, or trust your intuition type person. So, I mean, shit, it's always worked. So shout out. No. Yeah.
So take us back to like your initial discovery of like streetwear and stuff like that. Like what got you into streetwear? And then like what was your initial thought? Like, wow, there's like this whole community and stuff.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, like my dad, he's actually like from the hood, but he used to like surf with like, you know, the surfers in Malibu and Palisades and stuff. And he used to wear Stussy. But he used to always wear Dickies. So it's just like, I feel like when you're born in California, there's so many places that you can go and there's so many different types of like other like subcultures that exist, that you're naturally like, I like this and I like this and I like, you know, it's never like there's just one thing. But I feel like that's kind of like introed me into what streetwear. I guess I didn't really know the name for it, you know, before it really, because I was in Catholic school trying to download the Babe site. We was all like in the computer lab trying to download the Babe site, you know, and like, is it working on yours, you know, just to see what this is, because, you know, we only had like Lil Wayne, Pharrell, you know, they were the influencers, and, you know, whatever they wore, we were like, what are they, you know. Pharrell for sure. When I saw Pharrell and when I like listened to In My Mind and like NERD and, you know, even Ye, like wearing, you know, the Louis Vuitton Don with the polo, it was just like, oh my gosh, that's so revolutionary. You can mix both, you know, like, because you only know it for like black and white.
Right.
And like, it's kind of like shows you that like a gray area does exist, you know. So that's why I like started bridging like high end with streetwears. Really, when I saw like Nigo and Pharrell and I don't know, I just thought of like outer space, but I just connected with it so much that I was like, what is this? And then that's when I was on, what's that, karmaloop.com, you know, looking up famous stars and straps. I was looking up Dime Piece, Married to the Mob, you know, Stussy was on there too. You know, these are just like all types of like brands that existed on Karmaloop. Karmaloop was like the, for me and my homies, it was the dopest shit. Like aside from wearing like jerseys, you know, that you got from like Foot Locker and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of like where the love came from. Like really just like, because we're like the first kids to, I guess, not have internet and then have internet, you know. So it's like this whole discovery. When you're discovering the internet and you're discovering who you are, then you just start Googling shit, you know. So I guess it was just out of curiosity, but I was already in it, you know. So I guess streetwear is kind of just like putting a name on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you know, being a woman and being in streetwear, like, what were some of like the things that you had to overcome, like getting into streetwear and like, you know, legitimizing yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of always came naturally. Like I was working, you know, I started working at American Apparel and I was like, I want to be on a pair of socks. That's my dream, American Apparel, you know. And then after that, I was living in Chicago, and then I wanted to work at Louis Vuitton because I wanted like this high-end luxe experience. What is luxury, you know? And there they taught you the training that like it's more than just a brand or something that's really expensive. It's a lifestyle, you know? And then after that, I walked into RSVP gallery, and that's when I was just like, this is home. You know, I was like, this is me all in a space. And like the people who work here are literally just like me. So when Don offered me the job, him and Kristen, then I was just like, I got to do it. I was like, look, I go to school full time. I work at Louis Vuitton full time. I'm off 1 or 2 days. And he was like, you just work here on your days off. I was like, cool, you know. And then after that, I actually ended up quitting Louis Vuitton because I was like, I want to be somewhere where I want to be.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like a whole culture exists, and we're like creating it too. And I'm just going to be here, you know? So yeah.
What were some of the things at RSVP that you learned that you later applied on?
Man, I mean, I guess it was, you know, looking at our culture as luxury too, because I feel like, you know, people get mad at resellers and, you know, all these other things, but like, think about Chanel, right? For example, Chanel is a crazy high-end brand, you know, it's like the god. But, you know, people still sell Chanel on eBay. So like, you got to think of resellers as like, it's kind of showing that streetwear is luxury, you know, in a way. Like you just gotta, obviously some people just go overboard with the reselling things, but like to some extent it is like still true to like making streetwear what it is, you know. So I feel like all these things like need to exist at the same time. And like streetwear, that's what I learned. Like streetwear is luxury, like, and it's a lifestyle. And I don't think it's a name that we chose for ourselves, you know? It's just something that we all looked at each other. Like, mind you, all my best friends, mostly I met them on Tumblr, you know? Like, because I went to your page and you was reblogging the same Nego photos I was reblogging, like with the same chains that Pharrell had and the same, you know, even like, you know, all my friends like Easy and Travis and all of them, like it's because we just all grew up in this same space. And then somebody, you know, we gotta categorize things at the end of the day, you know, for the corporate world, we gotta you know, so that's what it is.
Yeah. How did you go from RSVP then to like styling?
Actually, so I was at RSVP. I was like the in-house model, you know, we was doing everything. We was working the Instagram. We was, you know, we had hella jobs. And then, styling, I actually was like home for a couple weeks, like I think like winter break or something. And, I was at 424. He's like my big brother, and the homie walks in and he's just like, oh, I need somebody to style Kendrick for Jimmy Kimmel. They're like, oh, Laylee could do it. And I was like, all right, cool, you know. And then it was just like that. It was literally
I'll do it.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, what's up? You know, so it was literally just like that. And I felt like with working at Louis Vuitton, I already had like experience styling because, you know, people would come with all they cash, but it's like, it's crazy because as much money as you may have, you still want to look cool. Like at the end of the day, everybody want to be cool, you know, and like people want to know what's cool.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to tell people, you know, my Louis Vuitton clients, I was like, look, let me take you to Barney's. Let me show you this Balmain over here. You know, they like, what's Balmain? I'm like, look, you know, this is Givenchy. Like just trying to like educate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how it like started, and then from there just went up.
So aside from like Kendrick Lamar, like who else have you done styling for?
Wiz, Yachty, the funnest. Did some editorials like 21 Savage and Playboy Cardi, Jaden Smith. So mostly men. I don't know, it's like my style is mixing men's and women's, high-end and street. I'm just like, look, whatever looks the freshest. If I see a piece and I'm like, yo, that's fire, no matter if it's a male piece or a women's piece, you know, I'm just like, I'm just gonna flex. Like, so yeah.
How is it styling like, you know, men? Because it's like they're coming to you, they're like, we love your style, but your style is like very like menswear influenced.
Yeah.
So like how is it that switching on like the hats and being like, all right, you're gonna wear this?
I mean, honestly, I think being a stylist is also like being able to cater to a person, and like they have to learn how to trust you.
Yeah.
So like I think the approach is like the best, you know. I'm more of like, yo, it's good, you know. And most of the people that I've styled, I've met through friends, which is great. Or Yachty, he actually hit me up. He's like, I need you to style me the queen of this swag shit. And I was like, oh my gosh. And yeah, it always naturally happens. I think because like the scene that we're in, you know, it's just all natural. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. What were some of like your favorite moments styling someone like, you know, the musicians that you've worked with?
Recently Jaden, when I styled him, I put him in my friends and family Jordan 6s.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I mean, I've never seen Jaden in a pair of Jordans, but that may work.
Right.
And then when I brought it to him, he was like, oh my gosh, these are so fresh. And I didn't tell him anything about him.
Yeah.
And he was like, I've never worn Jordans before. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, so his first pair of Jordans are going to be like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, you know, like your Will Smith's kid, which also used to be Fresh Prince, which also he used to go ham with the Jays. And, you know, just kind of like bringing back all these like childhood memories, and then seeing Jaden. And then it was crazy because he was like dancing and doing all types of, you know, like crazy Karate Kid moves when Kenneth Capella was like shooting him.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this is like, me and my friend are looking and we're like, this is crazy right here. Like, And even at Complex Con, my photographer was like, yo, so I'm editing the video. And he was like, last year you had on a pair of like sample J's that Frank gave you. He was like, this year you walked in with your own. And I was like, fuck, you know, like I just be like blown away.
Yeah.
You know, shit's gray.
Yeah. and you wear so many different, like, you know, creative hats. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, like, you know, what I feel like the easiest way to generalize that is call it, like, you know, an influencer. Like, what do you feel about the term influencer? Is that like the new word placeholder for like entrepreneur these days?
You know, like around like Tumblr heavy days, people used to ask like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I just like doing what I do, whether that's styling, whether that's, you know, blogging or whatever. And I couldn't put a name to it. Yeah. And then when I started getting these jobs, like it'll say up underneath influencer, and I was like, at first, you know, I don't know. I'm like half and half. I'm like, okay, that's the title for it, but it's still kind of lame because I don't want to walk around and say I'm an influencer. Mm-hmm. Like I influence all y'all. You know, it's like, all right, sit down, be humble. No. But you know, like I call myself a style consultant because that's like whether I'm modeling or whether I'm styling or, you know, styling myself because I get hired a lot to style myself. Is
that a separate fee? Or?
Yeah, you know, so it's kind of, I just say a style consultant because I think that's just more like, you know, and then I get hired to be myself, which I guess would be called an influencer, I guess.
So, I mean, you've progressed so much and you've gotten to the point where you have your own Jordan. Do you have like any other aspirations on top of that to like still be within footwear or be within fashion?
Yeah. Coming soon. No, stay tuned. You know, just, you know, follow me on the gram. No. Honestly, like 4 years ago, someone told me write down, you know, a list of the things that you want, and it could sound completely crazy, you know. And one of the things I wrote down was a Jordan 1. Yeah. So like, wow. Yeah, that I'm like, what, you know, keep coming back to that list, and I guess it's just trying to put things into fruition. I'm like, however we get there, we're gonna get there. But I do have this idea, I guess. It's kind of like influencer. I didn't know until I was actually doing it and somebody gave me the name. So like for this next step, you know, I guess our generation is just known for doing a lot of things. Like you can be a photographer and also a, you know, stylist and a blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I guess there's no name for it, but it's going to be cool.
And with the Jordan, it does put you into, like, you know, a whole new space as far as, like, you know, being, especially being, like, you know, a woman and a female, like, you know, representative of street culture. Yeah. Like, you know, how does that, like, impact the way that you move now, like, that you're amongst the short list? It's like, you know, Vashti. There's only, like, Emily Oberg. There's so many that you can only name, like, on a handful. So it's like now that you're there, like, what is your mindset? Yeah,
is there a responsibility kind of thing? Or
I feel like with anything, there always comes a responsibility, but I feel like my responsibility is more to just like unite other girls that are just like me. So I feel like that's like my main thing is just to like make sure that like there's a space for women to exist in this and even outside of it, you know, because, you know, feminism isn't just a movement, you know, and it's always been around, but I feel like these recent years, even like women like Cardi B and you know, people are starting to pay attention more. And I just think that, you know, gang you know, so just trying to bring girls together and just see like, hey, you can do both. You can wear heels, you can wear sneakers, you can look fresh in men's clothes, women's clothes, however you feel, you know. So being comfortable, because I guess, you know, you guys may not know, but like for women, you know, it's there's a lot of things that you're like, what type of girl am I? What am I? Am I over here? Am I over there? Like, how do I exist in this space? Who am I? You know, and so just saying that like, you can just exist in your own space.
You think it's about time that, you know, the woman's narrative is just as big as the men's narrative in streetwear?
I don't think we're as big yet, but it's definitely like a huge conversation now, and it's only gonna get bigger. So at some point, you know, it's gonna be just the same, you know.
So a good way that we like to, like, you know, in our podcast is that if you were to go back in time and then talk to yourself when you're at your younger ages, when you're most like, you know, pre-Jordan, and you were to give that Aleali, like, you know, some words of advice and stuff for now, what would that be?
You know, it would probably be, look, stop worrying, you know, you're good, stay confident, you know, swag it out, do your thing. You're gonna have like great support systems, so I guess, you know, just don't worry about it. You know, it's all gonna come together and it's all gonna come to fruition. All you gotta do is just not give up and like don't accept defeat, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So just keep pushing.
Do you think like the key to success is really just staying persistent?
Yeah, honestly, as long as you're fighting, you're winning. You know, the moment that you give up the battle is the moment that you literally just accepted defeat. So like you gotta keep pushing, you know. And there's like this quote that I really love, and it's by my mentor Daisaku Ikeda, and he's just like, when you encounter a wall, know that like encountering a wall is proof of the progress you've made. Rather than becoming discouraged, know that there's a wide expanse on the other side. So it's like, you know, we be in this maze and you be like, okay, this is a way. And then you come into a wall and you're like, fuck, you know, but like, just know, like, you look at the wall, evaluate it, see how we can break it down or move past, or if there's something that opens the wall, you know. So, yeah, just keep pushing.
Nice. That's a good one.
Sweet.
Good one.
Thanks
you. For sitting down.
Hey, look.